You are very welcome to the Gutter Bookshop this evening, where we're delighted to be launching The Girl, the Moon and the Ocean by Kevin Corridor. For those of you who don't know us, we're a completely independent bookshop. We're one of those bookshops that's not supposed to exist anymore, and the reason we do exist is because we do events like this and you will come along and support them. So thank you very much for being here. In order to kind of kick things off and get his book launched, please welcome Kevin Corridor.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to start this song with no. It's just like, woo. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. It's lovely to see you all. Many faces I know, some I don't, which is really nice. Obviously, a big thank you to Bob and the bookstore. Been very helpful with organizing this event. It's amazing to have this in town, especially with a book that is self-published, and to give you this kind of forum. So I'll say a few words about this book, how it came about, which is a bit of a mystery to myself, to be honest, which is interesting. I'll tell you a bit about the process. A bit about the process of self-publishing, because maybe some of you are interested in that, and how suddenly at the end you actually manage to have a book in your hand, which is also a very nice experience. And then we're going to have a bit of fun. So the book is written in 3 voices. Obviously, the girl, the moon, and the ocean, and all 3 in a dialogue. So I'll invite you. I haven't planned any reading, so I'll invite you to play this a bit. So just to prepare you a bit, like to ask people up and actually read part of this with me, and just have a bit of fun with this. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it'd be nice to just loosen it up a bit instead of me just trying to pretend to have 3 voices, which I don't think would be that useful. So we'll start basically with a short reading. Then we're lucky to have the illustrator here. So basically the book has beautiful illustrations, including the lovely illustration on the front. So Ursula who's over there, she'll maybe, if we're nice to her, she'll maybe say a few words about that process. Then we'll do a bit of reading again, and then I'll talk a bit about the process of self-publishing, how that kind of works, or what you kind of have to consider. Also a bit about the quality of the book. So this is more like an art project, so you can see that it has a specific type of paper, has a specific design. So just to give you a bit of idea and a bit of promotion for the product, basically. And then of course we do again a little bit of reading, and then we do the final comments and closing. And there's wine and cheese, and we'll also go up to the pub, which is Bull and Castle, just up the lane, and I've booked a little table, so whoever wants to join us up there is more than welcome. So generally, just to start, I'd say a few things about the book itself. The book is written in rhyme, and it's mainly a dialogue between a girl who doesn't have to have a specific age, which brings us to the process of what the book actually means, and the moon and the ocean. So it's all a bit of a mysterious way of approaching a dialogue. I wrote this book basically I won't say in trance or in kind of a, but it is a bit weird to say, okay, a man my age writing a book about a girl talking to the moon and the ocean. So the question would be, where does that come from? And I won't try to resolve that question. I can give you a bit of my perspective on it. But it's a kind of book that if you read it, it hopefully opens up aspects of your own inner self. So a lot of this book has been written in kind of a inner voice projection. So I didn't think about what this is. So you just sit down and you write it. And these 14 days were actually a lot more stories. So there were about 30 to 35 days, and I picked a few that I thought was very relevant or kind of worked. So it's very much written in this mysterious reflection with oneself. So for me, this book is more about unity. So again, it can be very much what it means to you, and I don't want to kind of preempt or give that away. It's just my access to this kind of text. So if I read this again, it reads a bit as if someone else wrote it, even though I wrote it myself. I don't know if you ever had this process. It's a bit kind of mysterious, but you just write what bubbles out of your inner kind of reflection, and then it turns into this lovely looking book. It's kind of and it kind of works. I don't know how this it just kind of fits. And basically you kind of get this thing. I did do a little bit of research on it, and just in the last few months. So this book was written a year ago. And just over the last few months, I started to try to understand why I kind of wrote this or where this actually comes from. And it pointed me to Jungian psychology, which is kind of deep, but it has these kind of aspects in it. So it's a lot about unity of femininity, of masculinity, kind of these kind of conjunctions of soul reflection and so forth. So you can use the symbols in the book as a mysterious reflection of your inner voices or your inner unity. And when we read it, and I'm deliberately kind of saying that, but when we read it, you can kind of reflect it as such. You can see it whatever you want to see it, just as a fun kind of little play, or you can go deeper and as deep as you like to go into all places of your soul, whatever that means. So that's basically the bigger picture. So I guess just to start a little bit of fun, we just read the first day. So the first day of this story, and I need 3 volunteers. Now it doesn't matter if it's female or male voices. The girl can be read by a man. It doesn't really matter. I just need 3 brave volunteers. Yes. There we go. Just 3.
You're not going to have to prove it.
Huh? Come forward, please. Just come here. I'll see if I can get the microphone. No pressure. Are you good? Do you need some help? I think who was third? Well, you were third, right? Yeah. So I'm going to give you. Oh, you didn't buy one. Not yet. Family discount. So I'll read the capture, the text around it. I guess you can hear me as well if I don't use. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the first day. A girl is walking down the strand. She stops and reaches her hands up to the night sky, exhales loudly. The clouds slowly pull away. A bright moon opens up in the sky. The waves of the ocean gently melt into the white sand. Now, who wants to be a girl? Get on the moon?
I don't mind.
Who's the moon?
I'll be moon.
Okay, you'll be moon, you'll be ocean. Okay. Yeah?
Dear Moon, my dear friend, I love seeing your reflections on the ocean at night, the way the waves dance in your light.
My dear, I am here, I am near.
Oh, dear Moon, I hear your voice. What joy, I rejoice.
Tell me, my dear, what do you seek? Why are you sad and why so weak?
The way you change, first small, then grow. If only I could be like you and show everyone my glow.
That is easy, my dear, drop your fear. Only then those clouds will disappear.
Dear Moon, there is so much I do not understand.
The ocean pulls up and gently touches the girl's toe.
My dear darling, I am near.
Oh, ocean, you can also speak. So many nights I walked this shore, felt lonely, hoped for more.
You're my star, that is what you are.
You are too kind.
Precious soul, what bothers you?
I wish I had less in my mind.
Tell me more.
Oh, this longing in my heart, it's pulling me apart. It's strong and seems to grow. Why, I don't know.
My precious soul, come back each night and walk this shore. We will tell you what you need to know and so much more.
The girl stands on the beach with her eyes wide open, looking over the ocean towards the horizon. So that's the first day. We read a few more days, and I need a few more volunteers. So you can prepare. Thank you very much. So next, we'll talk a little bit about the illustrations. I'll just briefly talk about how they came about, and maybe if Ursula wants to say a few words about it, then as well, it'd be nice. While the text was written, I kind of started thinking this would be nice if it's illustrated, because the text is very dense and it kind of works nice with illustrations. And I was looking for illustrators for quite a while, and it's not an easy process for anyone who wants to do this. Some illustrators are very famous, very hard to reach. Obviously there's prices and so forth. I was lucky then through a friend in work, Jenny, who introduced me to Ursula, and it kind of clicked straight away. And for this kind of stuff, I think it has to click, and for some reason, the universe connected us because Ursula was already drawing pictures of the moon and ocean and stuff at that time, so it kind of magically worked out. The process was lovely. It was basically back and forth, meeting a few times and just kind of working off the text and working off the illustrations. So it was a very, very nice process, which hopefully is obvious when you see them in the book. And now printed, they actually look really nice, so that's kind of nice to see it happening. And I really like the front logo. I'm thinking about doing T-shirts and stuff on that. So Ursula, do you want to say a few words?
Hi, it was really nice working with Kevin on this project. We had a mutual friend, Jenny, and she asked me if I'd be interested in doing something for her colleague. And she's sort of a nice person, you know, wouldn't stick you with somebody who's
Until today.
have to set to whatever you feel like doing. And to me, the book is very dream-like, and it could be your dream. So I didn't want to be too exact about what the person looked like. So I just covered just A4 paper with charcoal and just rubbed away with an eraser, so that it would just be a sort of very dreamy texture rather than anything very sharp and outlined. But I didn't. You normally spray a type of hairspray on them, and I forgot to do that. And a cat walked through our house, and so they all got covered in black, sooty paws as the cat walked over them all. So they're all gone. But it was really good fun working with Kevin. The book looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Yeah, thank you. But obviously, with this, obviously, I'm seeing this book very much as a unity in its story, but also in its process. So the book would be drastically different. Actually, everything would have been different if it wouldn't be working with Ursula. So these kind of books, especially with illustrations, it's very connected, the process. Yeah, let's have some, thank you, Ursula. Let's have some more fun. I need 3 more volunteers. I'm just going to keep doing this. It's like with this good friend from my meditation group. 2 more. Yes, please. What's your name?
Sinead.
Sinead, yeah. Hello, Sinead. Welcome. And someone else? One more, come on. No? I'm running out of volunteers. Yes, okay. You read the second one. So for the next time, I'm going to skip a few days, but now just for now we read the second day. Who wants to be the girl? Second day.
Yes.
So who wants to be Ocean? You'll be Ocean? Okay, that's good. You'll be the Moon? Okay, then I guess if it's okay, you'll be the girl. Good, thank you very much. So, second day, the girl walks down the shore, stops, looks up at the sky, her shoulders lifted, and her hands folded in front of her body.
Moon, I see you are less tonight. Why the change? Are you all right?
My precious soul, if I were here all the time, I would forget what it means to shine.
Oh, Moon, my dear friend, your words are so wise and kind. Will you help me? It's love I seek to find.
You and I, and ocean too, we are one of the same and help where we can. All of us are part of a diving plan.
Yes, I know it's true. But why do I feel all those other things, too? I sometimes feel whole and complete, yet now and then my glow seems to deplete.
The ocean pulls up gently and touches the girl's toes.
My dear, I like you near. Let it be told. Your heart is pure as solid gold. Everything you think is what you are. You are a special kind of star.
Oh, Ocean, your words are always kind. I wish I had your clear mind. Mine feels clouded most of the time. and things clouded never shine.
My dear, give it time and don't despair. Come back tomorrow, you'll find us here.
The girl touches the ocean softly with her fingertips and smiles at the moon. Thank you. I need more volunteers. I won't give up on that. I'll start calling names. Yeah, I'll talk a bit about the book process now. The book itself, the text was written within 2 to 3 months. It's a kind of very quick process. What I would usually do is I would, with some of the friends here, would go have a meditation session in the morning and would write straight after. Or I would do yoga in the morning and write straight after. I don't know what it does, but it seems to open something. So it just kind of flows. And switch off your phone, switch off Facebook, otherwise it's gone. It's just kind of, I don't know how creativity actually works or inspiration. Sometimes you manage to connect and just let it out. And again, and I'm very honest about this, I don't know, it's the truth and it sounds a bit weird. I don't know where this text came from or why I wrote it. I really don't. Like I can interpret it the same way you interpret it as a stranger. So that's kind of a mysterious but very, also very fascinating process. So the main work over a year was then to work with illustrations, to work with production. And the production is something I'd like to talk a little bit about. I was lucky to, again, through a friend, to be introduced to Kasia, who has a design studio. And you can find her name at the back just for promotion, like if you ever need someone who manages these kind of projects, who does the design, works with the printers, the stitching, all this kind of stuff went through Kasia. Like I wouldn't even know how to start this kind of stuff. So she can't be here today. Unfortunately, she has a family event she had to attend to. But basically, I'll just give you a few very technical details about the book, because it's a very art-focused book. So just that you kind of know what the actual book is made of. So the first edition has 200 copies, and it's 13 centimeters by 118 centimeters by 18 centimeters in softback. Total of 64 pages. Again, those things, they just happen over time. When you self-publish, it's kind of nice because you're part of all that process. So it kind of happens. And there's 15 illustrations. There were a few more illustrations. There were alternative illustrations, so you kind of work through the illustrations. And then Kasia was basically responsible for the design. So in some of the illustrations, you can see that the text is specifically overlaid in parts of the illustration. So she would have done a lot of that work. And kind of talk with me about those things. The paper is very high quality. It's basically 120 grams, which if you know the usual paper that comes out of a copy paper like that you use in work is 80 grams. So this is a bit thicker, which obviously puts challenges on the printing process. But it usually is nicer because you have a lot nicer quality of texture of when you're reading it. It's UPM, don't ask me what that is. UPM, fine undercoated paper. So Kasia went through, at least for 2 hours, telling me what kind of papers, all kind of catalogs, and feel this and feel that. So if you're in that business, you can get really excited about paper. But that's good. The colors, again, are very important. We had a lot of debate about the color of the front. So this color, the front is, after a lot of deliberation, it's Fedrigoni Cirio Dark Blue, which is 290 grams. What is very important, and it was all printed in offset by Plus Print in Dublin, and delivered, like, of course, 2 hours ago. So I was like, sorry. I was like, come on, lads. Yeah. But then again, I'll just throw in some self-publishing things again, just if there's anybody who wants to ever do this, you need to set a deadline. If I wouldn't have put the deadline for the launch, this would have been printed in 2 years, because you're a self-publisher, you're very far back in the priority list. So if you're a big publisher, they have priority, and yours kind of falls back all the time because it's low volume and it's a bit artistic. So you have to put a bit of pressure on with dates and deadlines and so forth. A very important part of this book, which Kasia does a lot of workshops on, is the binding. So the binding is at the side, it's Singer stitched. So it's a special kind of stitching. And it was stitched by a machine. Initially we wanted to do it hand stitched, which which was Kasha's idea, which would have looked even nicer. But this is machine stitched, and it's quite a tedious process. It has to be cut in a specific way and then put through like almost like an industrial sewing machine. So it's not sewing machine, sewing machine. So that's the stitching, which I'm kind of happy that it kind of worked out like this. And then we have the cover, which is white foil embossed. Again, if there's experts in the audience, but the embossing is really important because if you move your finger over it, it's kind of like a wax, almost like as if a candle or something is put it on. It kind of works really nice with this lovely illustration. Yeah, that's the technical details of this. Obviously, you know the price. It's €15 on launch. With these kind of projects, you're not going to ever make profit or anything, or even cut even. It's very much a love project, which is fine. And the process is quite rewarding. So if you ever want to do that, you can ask me about it if you like. It's really nice. You need to order an ISBN number, which is also a lovely process. So you go to like this UK website and you buy a ISBN number and a USBN, so it can run through the tills when you sell it. Yeah, that's it. I think the only difference I think now in hindsight between going with a traditional publishing house or an indie publisher and going self-publishing is that a large publishing house has a lot more marketing budget. So like after this, I'd set up a website and do some Facebook campaigns, but that's all I can do. Like a big publisher can do a lot more. And instead of selling 200, they maybe sell 200,000. That's like I think that's the main difference. But you keep control, so that's kind of nice in the process itself. Yeah, that's for that. I won't you can ask me questions after with the wine if you want to know more about this or come to the pub, because now we do another little reading. I need 3 more volunteers, please. Anyone? Yes? Liz, thank you. I'm going to start with calling family name members. One more. Yeah. Thank you very much. Do you want to come up here? Thank you. So we'll read the 10th day. We'll only do one more after this. Okay? So although I think it's kind of fun like this. 10th day, who wants to be the girl? Yeah? Move. Ocean, okay? So 10th day. The girl runs excitedly down the shore, stops and lifts a piece of paper towards the sky.
Moon, ocean, are you there? I have something important to share.
My dear, I am here.
The ocean pulls up and gently touches the girl's toes.
I am always near.
Dear moon and ocean, too, I wrote a poem for you.
What a lovely surprise. This makes my waves rise. Let us hear.
Oh, beloved, come my way. Oh, beloved, will you stay? Oh, beloved, light my day.
I like it very much. It feels warm. I want to hear more. I feel different to before.
The girl bows.
Thank you, my friends.
The girl looks up to the half moon resting in the sky. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're almost through. We're almost done. I'll talk a little bit, just a few things about what it means to me, a bit about the background. I know it's a little bit risky because it might influence you, but it shouldn't. Again, that's just the way I see it, and you can see it totally the way you want to see it. It's just some thoughts I have on it. And then we'll just read the final day, the final story, and then we can mingle, have some wine, if you want to stay or come to the pub after. So basically, it's very much a dream reflection, an inner voice reflection. This is just purely for me. I'm not saying that's what it is. You can read it as story as ever you like. And essentially, I find it's very much about unity. So if you take a girl, if you take a moon, and if you take the ocean, and I'm absolutely honest, this kind of reflection came to me like a month or two ago when this was almost printed. I had no clue. A friend said, "What did you write there? What is that?" I said, "I don't know." So it's just kind of, and I'm still kind of thinking about what this could be or what this means. So there's different elements, obviously, in this book, and one thing that occurs to me, and I'll go a little bit deeper in psychological theory. There is this theory about archetypes that Jung kind of introduced in Jungian psychology, and there's two very specific archetypes that he brought in, which is the anima and the animus, which is the female side of the soul and the masculine side of the soul. So in his theory, in Jungian theory, each human, doesn't matter if you're a man or a girl, a man or woman, masculine or feminine, you have these two sides in your soul. So in that reflection, this voice or this kind of book comes a little bit out of this kind of unity. So usually poetry or any kind of this mysterious art is some kind of, in my view, it's totally my view, some kind of reflection or unity in that. So Jung would say any kind of mysterious reflection is a voice of the soul to create a unity within the anima and animus. Now, Jung would have said that the soul is female, is anima, and something like the body or brain or whatever that is will be more animus. So I kind of created my own own version of a soul reflection. So whatever that means, the moon, the ocean, and the girl being different parts of my soul talking with each other in some kind of longing for some kind of unity. So essentially, it's a love story. So essentially, it's a love story in its unity. And again, you can decide as a reader what kind of love story it is. Is it love to someone else? Is it love between a girl and the moon and the ocean? Is it love towards yourself or towards someone else? But essentially, it's a love story that seeks some kind of unity within yourself. So that's kind of my interpretation of this. So it's kind of this. So Jung wrote a book called The Red Book, which was a lot of reflection on these things. And there's one quote that kind of stood out. It's, "My friend, it's wise to nourish the soul, otherwise you will breed dragons and devils in your heart." That's basically what he says. So if you're a poet or some kind of creative person, if there's some kind of friction in you, it's kind of nice to let that out. You know, it's kind of, that's where this comes from. So when I was writing this, without that I knew it, I must have had some friction or something longing for unity. That's the way I would interpret it. But again, it's very much up to you to interpret that yourself. And usually that goes through dreams. So it's a dreamlike book. If you go to any psychoanalytic session, I think it's usually an interpretation of dreams where anima and animus would appear in different persons or Virgin Mary or whatever it is. So that's kind of my way of seeing it. So it's kind of part of the path. So part of the path to unity, to love, to all these kind of things, spirituality as such. But again, for you it might be just a book where a teenage girl runs down the beach and talks with the moon, and it's fine. You know, it's just my interpretation of this. And maybe in 6 months I have a whole new interpretation, because again, the way it's written, it could be something totally different in 6 months. That's just the way I feel at the moment. Which is the lovely thing with these art things, is you can just interpret it how you feel or how it makes you most fulfilling. Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. We'll have a final reading. I need 3 again. Yeah?
As long as I can read the girl.
I'm hoping my little spiritual, psychological excursion motivates another 2.
I don't have a book yet.
Yeah.
You have to
What?
Yes, I said.
Olivia, thank you. Oh yeah. One more? Anyone? Yeah, Philip.
So where are we?
The last one, the last day. So this is, I won't say anything after the reading is finished, so it kind of concludes the launch. Feel free to buy a book, of course, if you haven't. Yeah, thanks again to Bob and the bookstore, to Ursula and Kasia, who isn't here. Thanks for coming, everyone. Please stay, have some more wine, have some more cheese, and come to the Bull and Castle if you want to afterwards. So the final day.
14 years.
Yes. 14th day. The girl walks down the shore. She is holding hands with another.
Moon, ocean, are you there? I need to talk to you. There is something important I need to share.
Yes, my dear.